And good morning and welcome in, folks. I'm the Deaf Rider, captain of the starship Pentameter. A year ago, I was kidnapped and transported 1 billion light years into space. For reasons unknown, deep thought, an alien intelligence that survives in deep space presented me with a starship and told me to seek my destiny, whatever that might be. It turns out my kidnapping occurred just as a monumental disaster struck my homeworld, and I'm now the last human being alive, seeking to preserve human culture by broadcasting poetry into the galaxy once a week. Well, I've had my day in court with the Krell. They have an interesting view of justice. My trial came down to act as our agent or we'll boil you in vinegar. So, as I thought, I hadn't broken any laws, it was just an imperial shakedown. I'm now on my way to the edge of Krell space to act as an agent of the Krell Emperor and find out why 3 of the colonies on the edge of Krell space have stopped communicating with their homeworld. Additional. Our recent trip to the Horsehead Nebula was very curious. It has raised many interesting equestrians.
It's X-37 here, the synthetic first mate. Our journey through space has taken us to many unusual places where we have seen many unusual life forms. We recently visited a planet whose inhabitants' circulatory system was on the outside of their skin. We tried to question them about this, but it was all in vain. My captain is the last human being alive in the galaxy following the destruction of his home planet with the incredibly boring name of Earth. We have been drifting through space on the starship Pentameter, reciting poems and avoiding the enforcers of the galaxy-spanning Krell Empire, along with their bounty hunters that see the last human as a specimen to be placed in the Krell's Imperial Zoo. Right now, we are flying to the edge of Krell space to investigate why 3 of their colonies have suddenly turned silent. This is the communications suite, which doubles as my lab. To pass the time, I employ my planet-sized intellect, solving the galaxy's most pressing scientific dilemmas.
You're not conducting any of your weird experiments in there, are you? That's how the lab ended up needing to be repaired in the first place.
No. Everything is fine. You banned me from doing any more experiments, remember?
All right, I'll be there soon.
Haha, sucker. I've been doing some hydroponics. The maths involved was a bit much. It gave the plants square roots. Uh-oh, something's wrong. I think I'd better duck.
What in deep space happened here? I thought you weren't conducting any more experiments, X-37.
Can't hear you. Some glitch.
Right, bring up the interface. And 3, 2, 1, and hello and welcome to the show. We are currently on our way to investigate the mysterious silence of 3 Krell colonies on the edge of their territory. But in the meantime, no matter what your species, number of heads, or planet of origin, you are all welcome here. In other news, an intelligent gas giant is suing one of its planets for refusing to allow it to attend school. In its claim before the Intergalactic Court, it states that it just wants to get brighter. And hello, folks. So good to see so many of you here this morning. Welcome, Fizzban DM. Great to see you there. I hope you enjoyed seeing your illustration come up today. I can also see that we have Kaiser is visiting us today too. Welcome in, Kaiser, from Canis Major. Excellent to see you here today. I can see that Be Like Dory has joined us also today. Welcome in, Be Like Dory. It's great to see you here today as well. And we also have Robotham J has dropped in to say hi as well. So hello, Robotham J. Excellent to see you all the way from the planet of Argaray. I actually feel a little bit like the host of an old Earth TV show called Romper Room, where the host would sit and welcome in all the viewers one at a time. But it's great to see you all. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope we have for you a great show lined up. Before we get too far, a quick tour of the features of our show seems to be in order. So first thing, we have a chat section. What time is it on the rocket clock? Well, it's just after 11 a.m. On the 1st of March in the year 20,325. So there you go, Fizzban DM. That's what time it is on the rocket clock. As well as our chat, where you can interact here with myself and all others who are visiting today. We also have our punometer. Now, last week we didn't get a single pun onto the board, so I'm expecting this week that my visitors will be a little more active with contributing some puns. This week, our poet of the week is Andrew Marvell, one of the I've just gone blank on the name of the group they called themselves. The metaphysical poets, that's right. Andrew Marvell was one of the metaphysical poets, and we'll be featuring his poetry today in the show, as well as your requests. So we'll make Mr. Andrew Marvell disappear again for a moment. We have a song list or a poetry list that you can jump on and see and choose poems from. If you follow the link. Oh dear, it's just me here today. I don't have a moderator, so I'm going to try to post the link to the poetry list right here for you. It's just going to take me a few seconds. There we go. Hopefully, no, did that show up? No, it didn't. Okay. Let me make sure it's on. that should start things going. And you don't see the bot on my viewer list. Oh, so the bot's not there. Well, I'm so glad you're spotlighting this poet. I was beginning to miss Marvell. Okay, I think that is our first pun of the day on the board. So here we go. First pun of the day. Thank you for the delivery of that pun. I'm not sure what to do about the missing song list. So, and the missing, we can still request from the website though. Yes, if you know where it is, you can. But if you're a new visitor here today, I'm sorry, the technology is working against me slightly. But we shall press on. The show will go on. That's what shows do, right? If you're lurking here today, please make yourself known. Give me a follow. Say hi. I would really, really appreciate it. But to begin with, we're going to start our day with the first poem of the day. And please jump in and request poems. I'm really looking forward to the requests that you guys come up with today. If you're watching on a computer, you can scroll down and there's a mini request list lower down below the video screen. Yes, there is if you're looking at this on Twitch. So hopefully that's another way you might be able to access the list and make a request. Thank you so much, FizzBandDM. Jumping forward a couple of pages, and I will need to move out of our screen so that we have the, yep, there we go. Get that screen up. The Deaf Writer Invitation to Dinner. So this is the Invitation to Dinner, our official, unofficial opening theme poem, written by yours truly, the Deaf Writer, back in 1999, 25 years ago. Invitation to Dinner. It occurred to me that poetry and food is something that should be enjoyed and savoured with some wine, and so I ask you out to dine with friends, of course, and I, your host, will beg your company the most, for were you to absent yourself, there's not enough of worldly wealth to compensate me for the grief of losing your good company. So thank you all very much for joining me today. Let's take a look at our first poem by Mr. Marvell. So we're going to jump back a page or two in our book to where we can find the poems of Andrew Marvell. And our first featured poem today is Bermudas by Mr. Andrew Marvell. So I'm going to jump straight into that one. And I hope you're all having a great day out there today. From this area of space, it looks like the stars are shining beautifully down on much of the galaxy, so I hope you're enjoying the fine galactic weather wherever you may be. Bermudas by Andrew Marvell. Where the remote Bermudas ride in the ocean's bosom unespied, from a small boat that rode along the listening winds received this song. What should we do but sing his praise that led us through the watery maze unto an isle so long unknown and yet far kinder than our own, where he the huge sea monsters racks that lift the deep upon their backs. He lands us on a grassy stage, safe from the storms and prelates' rage. He gave us this eternal spring which here enamels everything, and sends the fowls to us in care on daily visits through the air. He hangs in shades the orange bright, like golden lamps in a green night, and does in the pomegranates close jewels more rich than Ormus shows. He makes the figs our mouths to meet, and throws the melons at our feet. But apples, plants of such a price, no tree could ever bear them twice. With cedars chosen by his hand, from Lebanon he stores the land, and makes the hollow seas that roar proclaim the ambergris on shore. He cast, of which we rather boast, the gospel's pearl upon our coast, and in these rocks for us did frame a temple where to sound his name. O let our voice his praise exalt, till it arrive at heaven's vault, which thence, perhaps, rebounding may echo beyond the Mexic Bay. And that was Bermudas by Andrew Marvell. It wasn't the end. There's a glitch. I've glitched it already. Glitch away. I shall finish this poem. Thus sang they in the English boat, an holy and a cheerful note, and all the way to guide their chime, with falling oars they kept the time. And that was the end. I finished up one bit too early. But thank you, folks, for your patience with me as I have sought to deliver that poem for the first time here on our Poetry Request Show. And let's see, what kinds of requests have we got in the show so far? Looking back over the chat just to see what I've missed while off doing those couple of poems. A pun about Miss Marvell of the Marvel Universe. Kaiser, you're still trying to wake up. I hope you're feeling awake, and thanks so much for dropping by. We've had some bombs, we've had some shout-outs, we've had stories just lurking for a while, but thanks for dropping in. And Jack Ward has arrived. Oh, excellent. Thank you so much for dropping by, Jack Ward. I'm thrilled to have your visit. Jack Ward is another one of our regulars. Welcome in, Jack Ward of Proxima Centauri B. Great to see you. So, our first requested poem for the day is Psalm 151. Let me see if I can find that, and we will get our first request underway. I think I went too far. There we go. Psalm 151. And most of you, if you are familiar with at least Protestant Bibles, will be aware that the Psalms only go up to 150. This is an apocryphal psalm. That is, it's a psalm that they're not quite sure of the historical authenticity of, but is nonetheless a marvelous piece of Hebrew poetry. So let's jump in and have a look at Psalm 151. And who requested this? I should go have a look and see who was behind the request. So this request was by Fizzban DM. So this one's for you, Fizzban DM. Thank you for making that request today. Psalm 151, Apocryphal. A hallelujah of David, Jesse's son. I was the smallest of my brothers, the youngest of my father's sons. He made me shepherd of his flock, ruler over their young. My hands made a flute, my fingers a lyre. Let me give glory to the Lord, I thought to myself. The mountains cannot witness to God, the hills cannot proclaim him, but the trees have cherished my words, the flocks my deeds. Who can proclaim, who can announce, who can declare the Lord's deeds? God has seen everything, God has heard everything, God has listened. God sent his prophet to anoint me, Samuel to make me great. My brothers went out to meet him, handsome in form and appearance. Their stature tall, their hair beautiful, but the Lord God did not choose them. Instead, he sent and took me from following the flock. God anointed me with holy oil. God made me leader for his people, ruler over the children of his covenant. I went out to attack the Philistine who cursed me by his idols. But after I uncovered his own sword, I cut off his head. So I removed the shame from the Israelites. And that was Psalm 151, an ancient poem of Israel, of the Hebrew people, many, many, many years ago. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Thank you, Fizzban DM, for the wow. It's greatly appreciated. We'll head back into the communications suite at this point. I should point out a couple of things that we didn't point out earlier. The stream has a couple of rules attached to it, so I'm going to bring those up just to talk through them very quickly. We ask that everyone who visits our stream be kind, be respectful, keep the language clean. We welcome kids and families to our stream. Don't ask for or give away personal information for your own protection. Don't spam our commands, but feel free to use the commands to interact on the site. Don't spam or engage in self-promotion on the site. At least don't do it without talking to me first. Be curious, be willing to join in, and take on a role in our universe. That last one, taking on a role within our universe, is purely optional. But the others, we expect visitors to comply with those, and violators will unfortunately be banned. I should say though, if you do choose to take on a role within this universe, if you post about what race of creatures you belong to and what planet you're from, I will endeavour to do you a special image just for you to go with your character in our universe. I also probably should make you aware of the commands that are available for interaction. So we have a series of commands. !W commands will bring a list of them up for you in the chat. But the majority of our unique commands are !W followed by a word such as applause, which plays applause in the background, or on fire, which will do a fire animation, party, wow, cool, amazing. These are available to our visitors. Without the W at the front, we have a number of other commands that relate to the avatars that you can see moving around at the bottom of the screen most of the time. Hug, throw, attack, sling, and bomb are all fun. So feel free to take part using any of those commands. They have been made available to you specially. Okay, back to the show. It looks like it's time for a bit of trivia. So over to X31. X37, sorry, X37.
Hello. While you're selecting a poem to request, I thought I'd tell you some interesting facts from my colossal storage and retrieval system about Andrew Marvell. Andrew Marvell was born in Winstead, Yorkshire. His father, also named Andrew Marvell Sr., was a clergyman and later appointed lecturer at Holy Trinity Church. The future poet was educated at Hull Grammar and at age 13 started attending Trinity College in Cambridge, where eventually he received his BA. Even though Andrew Marvell is still relevant today, blending lyrics with metaphysical wit and grace, we don't know much about him. We do know that he travelled in Europe for at least 5 years, 1642 to 1646, probably as a tutor.
Thank you, X37, for those facts. While we're here and chatting away, many of us have a soundtrack to our lives. We play music in the background. We live in such a marvelous age where we can be surrounded by music and media and culture all the time. Songs or poems that are especially meaningful to us because they connect with particular events. Do you have any songs or poems that are like this for you? Would you mind sharing them in the chat with us? Any that have particularly meaningful lyrics or just move you in terms of music or rhythm, etc. Let's take a look at the next poem in our list, which is Disappointment. 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 Oh dear, I don't have who that's by and I can't think who it's by for the moment. So let me jump back in here. Oh, by me. That's a poem by me. Requested by Kaiser J. So an original poem. Somebody's being very brave today. Disappointment by the deaf writer. And here we go. Disappointment, another poem from 25 years ago, written by yours truly, the deaf writer. I'm disappointed with your disappointment. I had hoped for better from your hope for better. What I call a little bumper sticker poem, written as a young man looking at the older generation and wishing they had done a better job. And now I find myself the older generation and I'm wishing that I'd done a better job, and can see my kids feeling the similar disappointment about the impact that I've had on the world. Ah, well, such is life. And thank you for those claps, Kaiser J. I really appreciate them. Please, folks, keep putting requests in. I'm looking forward to doing many requests today. I should also be trying to clear some of those from the list, but as I'm acting as my own moderator today, I'll kind of get to it when I get to it. The lyrics to quite a few Rage Against the Machine songs often hit me. They really provoke anger and frustration at the failure of the powerful to look after people. Yeah, guerrilla radio in particular, but it's not a family song. Fair enough. Rage Against the Machine, were they, did they do Butterfly with a Bullet? Was that the title of it? In spite of my rage, I'm still just a rat in a cage. I remember being quite affected by that one many years ago. Their lyrics are still relevant today. Yes, they are. Bullet with Butterfly Wings was Smashing Pumpkins. Okay, so I've misremembered the source. Thank you for that, Vizban DM. Let's see. Let's see.
Excuse me, boss. I thought I'd like to try a, knock-knock joke.
Okay, let's hear it.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Theodore.
Theodore who?
The door wasn't open. That's why I'm knocking.
Okay, I'm going to suggest that might actually be your worst joke yet, X37. But thanks for dropping by. Let's take a look at our next poem. We're going to do another poem by our featured poet. We're going to do The Definition of Love by Andrew Marvell. So make my way back through the pages of our little improvised book here to find The Definition of Love by Andrew Marvell. My love is of a birth as rare as 'tis for objects strange and high. It was begotten by despair upon impossibility. Magnanimous despair alone could show me so divine a thing, where feeble hope could ne'er have flown, but vainly flapped its tinsel wing. And yet I quickly might arrive where my extended soul is fixed, but fate does iron wedges drive and always crowds itself betwixt. For fate with jealous eye does see two perfect loves, nor lets them close. Their union would her ruin be, and her tyrannic power depose. And therefore her decrees of steel us as the distant poles have placed, though love's whole world on us doth wheel, not by themselves to be embraced. Unless the giddy heaven fall, and earth some new convulsion tear, and us to join the world should all be cramped into a planisphere. As lines, so love's oblique may well themselves in every angle greet, but ours so truly parallel, though infinite, can never meet. Therefore the love which us doth bind, but fate so enviously debars, is the conjunction of the mind and opposition of the stars. And that was the definition of love by Andrew Marvell. A love that is thwart by the stars. An oblique sort of a reference to Romeo and Juliet and their star-crossed love. Looking back at the chat. Oh, thank you for those claps, Dory and Kaiser. Much appreciated. I do enjoy getting some feedback from you guys like this. It's greatly appreciated. What else is there? I think the most popularly known Rage Against the Machine song is Killing in the Name. Yes, Killing in the Name. Yes. Well, those are some of the song lyrics that have been significant to Fizban DM. I'd love to know if there are some song lyrics that are particularly meaningful to you. I should probably share personally a song that oddly meant a lot to me because it was kind of a theme song of mine for a while, was Dumb Things. The lyrics of which just seem to mirror some of my less great choices along the way. But for a long while, that song seemed to sum up my life. Doria said hi to Kaiser. Kaiser has responded with a Dory, Dory, Dory. Welcome into the both of you. Let's see. If you haven't popped in a request, please consider putting a request in the list, or even more than one. We're a fairly small group today, and there are plenty of spaces available for poetry requests today. Let's have a look at what's coming up next. I might actually ask another question of my audience today. Are there songs or poems that you regularly quote in your household? Do you quote poems at each other? And in our household, "O fraptious day, Callooh Callay, and come to my arms, my beamish boy," often get quoted from C.S. Lewis's, from Lewis Carroll's The Jabberwocky. We make use of a number of poetry lines in and amongst all the films that we quote. But if you can't think of a poetry line that you quote about the house, I'm just as interested to know what some of your favourite film quotes are to quote in your household. So feel free to share. In fact, I'd encourage you to share. I love to learn a little bit more about you. Let's take a look at what's in the request list right now. A prayer in a time of war. Kaiser has said, "It doesn't really hit me, but I thought the lyrics of Wichita Lineman is pretty beautiful, particularly, and I need you more than want you, and I want you for all time." Yeah, great little song, Wichita Lineman. One of the songs that I don't think that Vintage Muso does that one, but it would be a great one to hear Vintage Muso do. More on that later. Let's do A Prayer in a Time of War. A Prayer in a Time of War. Alfred Noyes, A Prayer in a Time of War. And here we go. this quote at the beginning of his poem. The war will change many things in art and life, and among them, it is to be hoped, many of our own ideas as to what is and what is not intellectual. Thou whose deep ways are in the sea, whose footsteps are not known, tonight a world that turned from thee is waiting at thy throne. The towering babbles that we raised where scoffing sophists brawl, the little antichrists we praised, the night is on them all. The fool has said, and we who deemed him wise, we who believed that thou wast dead, how should we seek thine eyes? How should we seek to thee for power, who scorned thee yesterday? How should we kneel in this dread hour? Lord, teach us how to pray. Grant us the single heart once more that mocks no sacred thing, the sword of truth our fathers wore, when thou was Lord and King. Let darkness unto darkness tell our deep unspoken prayer, for while our souls in darkness dwell, we know that thou art there. And welcome in Mr. Jack Ward of Proxima Centauri B. Wonderful to see you, Mr. Ward. I greatly appreciate your visit today. Thank you so much. Still trying to get used to this setup. Often quote this little poem because it always makes me tear up. I replaced Jenny with Ginny after my wife. I'd like to have it read. I'd like it read at my funeral. From the Poetry Foundation, Jenny kissed me. Fantastic. Thank you. I'd like to actually read that one. I'll put that on our list and pop it into our request list for next week. So we'll add that one to next week. Sometimes when I call Penny on the phone, she answers, "What's up, Danger?" which is from the song of the same name by Black Caviar. I don't know that song, but that's a great line for answering the phone. What's up, Danger? Sorry, I was playing with my new Scarlett to try to get ready for Zoom recordings coming up with shows. Yeah, we'll get that one into our show over here as soon as we can. Let me see. Where are we up to? Well, what do you know? I think we're about to get a visit from X37.
X37 here. Another knock-knock joke.
Okay, you know, I'm almost beginning to look forward to these terrible jokes. I must be something of a masochist.
Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Cereal.
Cereal who?
Surreal pleasure to meet you.
Oh, that was not good. That was very, very, very not good. Yeah. Oh, bothers me a lot to have to sit through that. Never mind. Let's go with our last featured poem for the week. Mr. Marvell's To His Coy Mistress. To His Coy Mistress by Andrew Marvell, which you may remember. Bizban DM, thank you. Looks like we have a second pun star on the board on our punometer. The knock knock joke was surreal. Excellent. And what else is happening in the chat? It's a song from Into the Spider-Verse animated movie. Is that right? Okay, I will have to... I know the film, I don't know the song, so I might have to have a second look. But thank you for the pun, Bizban DM. 2 on the board, 3 to go is our target for today's stream. And now, To His Coy Mistress, written in 1681 by Andrew Marvell. And some of you may remember the answer to that poem provided by, it wasn't C.J. Dennis, who was it? Yeah, well, it's in the list. And it's a humorous satirical take on this poem, which is the original. To His Coy Mistress by Andrew Marvell. Had we but whirled enough in time, this coyness, lady, were no crime. We would sit down and think which way to walk and pass our long love's day. Thou by the Indian Ganges side shouldst rubies find, I by the tide of Humber would complain I would love you 10 years before the flood. And you should, if you please, refuse till the conversion of the Jews. My vegetable love should grow vaster than empires and more slow. 100 years should go to praise thine eyes and on thy forehead gaze, 200 to adore each breast, but 30,000 to the rest. An age at least to every part, and the last age should show your heart. Dear lady, you deserve this state, for would I love at lower rate? But at my back I always hear Time's winged chariot hurrying near, and yonder all before us lie deserts of vast eternity. Thy beauty shall no more be found, nor in the marble vault shall sound my echoing song. Then worms shall try that long preserved virginity, and your quaint honour turn to dust, and into ashes all my lust. The graves are fine in private place, but none, I think, do there embrace. Now therefore, while the youthful hue sits on thy skin like morning dew, and while thy willing soul transpires at every pore with instant fires, now let us sport us while we may, and now like amorous birds of prey, rather at once our time devour than languish in this slow chapped power. Let us roll all our strength and all our sweetness up into one ball, and tear our pleasures and rough strife through the iron gates of life. Thus, though we cannot make our sun stand still, yet we will make him run. And that was To His Coy Mistress by Andrew Marvell, a sleazy poem intended to pressure his mistress into action lest time run out. Back we go. Let's see. Where? Oh, it was A.D. Hope that did the satirical send-up of To His Coy Mistress. How are we doing? Oh, somebody has grabbed it and put it in. What a great idea. Another good one in that theme is The Flea by John Donne. Okay, I love John Donne. Always, always fun. Yes, do A.D. Hope's reply. We will. In fact, we will go so far as to do it right now, since it is the very next poem request in the list. So let's do His Coy Mistress to Mr. Marvell. A reply in character by A.D. Hope, written in 1978. Since you have world enough and time, sir, to admonish me in rhyme, pray, Mr. Marvell, can it be you think to have persuaded me? Then let me say you want the art to woo, much less to win my heart. The verse was splendid, all admit, and sir, you have a pretty wit. All that indeed your poem lacked was logic, modesty, and tact. Slight faults than ones to which I own your sex is generally prone. But though you lose your labour, I shall not refuse you a reply. First, for the language you employ, a term I deprecate is coy. The ill-bred miss, the bird-brain Jill, may simper and be coy at will. A lady, sir, as you will find, keeps counsel, or she speaks her mind, means what she says and scorns to fence, and palter with feigned innocence. The ambiguous mistress next you set, beside this graceless epithet. Coy mistress, sir? Who gave you leave to wear my heart upon your sleeve? Or to imply, as sure you do, I had no other choice than you, and must remain upon the shelf, unless I should bestir myself. Shall I be moved to love, you pray? By hints that I must soon decay? No woman's won by being told how quickly she is growing old, nor will such ploys, when all is said, serve to stampede us into bed. When from pure blackmail next you move to bribe or lure me into love, no less inept, my rhyming friend, snared by the means you miss your end. Time's winged chariot and the rest, as poetry may pass the test, readers will quote those lines, I trust, till you and I and they are dust. But I, your destined prey, must look less at the bait than at the hook, nor when I do can fail to see just what it is you offer me. Love on the run, a rough embrace, snatched in the fury of the chase, the grave before us and the wheels of time's grim chariot at our heels, while we, like amorous birds of prey, tear at each other by the way. To say the least, the scene you paint is what you call my honour quaint. And on this point, what prompted you so crudely and in public too to canvass and indeed make free with my entire anatomy? Poets have license, I confess, to speak of ladies in undress. Thighs, hearts, brows, breasts are well enough. In verses this is common stuff. But well, I ask, to draw attention to worms in what I blush to mention, and prate of dust upon it too. Sir, was this any way to woo? Now therefore, while male self-regard sits on your cheek, my hopeful bard, may I suggest before we part, the best way to a woman's heart is to be modest, candid, true, tell her you love, and show you do, neither cajole nor condescend, and base the lover on the friend. Don't bustle her or fuss or snatch. A suitor looking at his watch is not a posture that persuades willing, much less reluctant maids. Remember that she shall be stirred more by the Spirit than the word, for truth and tenderness do more than coruscating metaphor. Had you addressed me in such terms, and prattled less of graves and worms, I might, who knows, have warmed to you. But as things stand, must bid adieu. Though I am grateful for the rhyme, and wish you better luck next time. And that was To Andrew Marvell from his Coy Mistress by A.D. Hope. A wonderfully satirical burn on Andrew Marvell. And thank you so much for the on fire that popped up just then. Thank you for the claps, Dory. Thank you for the claps, Kaiser. Much appreciated. Thank you all. Let's see. I think it's time for a final fun facts with X37.
Hi. While you're all selecting a poetry request, I thought I'd tell you some more interesting facts from my colossal storage and retrieval system. Even though Andrew Marvell was a marvel with a pen, he didn't have the eloquence to be a good speaker and was known to let his temper flare. We know of 2 scuffles which he was involved in at the House of Commons. The poet used his poetry for campaigning in the political arena as well. He used 3 long-verse satires to criticise England's weak role in the Second Anglo-Dutch War. The poems were widely seen and are considered to be part of the campaign to bring Lord Clarendon, the King's Chief Minister, and his helpers to justice. Andrew Marvell is considered to be one of the best, if not the best, of the metaphysical poets. These are poets which use wit to tie together unconnected ideas, taking the reader out of complacency, forcing them to think.
Thank you for that, X37. You know, I have a feeling that you didn't do your second fun facts session today, which wasn't Andrew Marvell elected to Parliament or something?
Yes, that's true, and I did overlook the second group of facts. At first, Mr. Marvell was opposed to the government of Oliver Cromwell's Commonwealth. After becoming a Latin secretary in John Milton's Foreign Office, however, he began to admire Cromwell. He wrote regularly for newsletters. When Cromwell died, Marvell wrote a long poetic elegy. The poem was not, however, published at the time. He was elected to Parliament for Hull in 1659 and held the seat until his death.
Thanks for that, X37. That makes a bit more sense of his political career of punching parliamentarians in the nose. What do we have in our request list at the moment? We don't have anything in the request list at the moment. Please jump in, guys. Make a request. We have so many poems to choose from in the request list, and I would be greatly appreciative of some poems. But in the meantime, I might pick one myself. So let me see. I think we'll do a little bit of Longfellow, A Psalm of Life by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. So, A Psalm of Life, written in 1838 by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And here we have a superhero in our picture today. I haven't been showing off the art today, but here you go. That's one of my original pictures done to illustrate the poem A Psalm of Life by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. What the heart of the young man said to the psalmist. Tell me not in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream. For the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returnest, was not spoken to the soul. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end or way, but to act that each tomorrow find us further than today. Art is long and time is fleeting, and our hearts, though stout and brave, still like muffled drums are beating, funeral marches to the grave. In the world's broad field of battle, in the bivouac of life, be not like dumb driven cattle, be a hero in the strife. Trust no future, however pleasant, let the dead past bury its dead. Act in the living present, heart within and God o'erhead. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing, leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. Footprints that perhaps another sailing o'er life's solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother, seeing shall take heart again. Let us then be up and doing, with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labour and to wait. A Psalm of Life by Longfellow. And a marvellous little poem that one is too. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As we swing back to our poem list there, we have another poem. Excellent. I'm thrilled to see it. Last week we added two famous poets to our trading card collection, William Shakespeare and Edgar Allan Poe. I have two trading cards half designed, but my question to you guys is, who else deserves to have a trading card? What other poet do you think is worthy of their own trading card? List them in the chat. I'd love to see who your favourite poets are, particularly those who you think are worthy of having a trading card. I said last week that I loved trading cards as a kid, but of course I wasn't really into sports. My heroes were poets and thinkers and figures of history and so on. And it occurred to me that it's about time that the poets got their own trading cards. So add a poet in the chat to let me know who you think is worthy of a trading card. And they can be contemporary people too. I don't mind if it's Bob Dylan or anyone else that you might feel deserves a trading card for coming up with especially good poetry in their lyrics. Okay. Let's do Halfway Down. Halfway Down, a poem by A.A. Milne. Halfway Down by A.A. Milne, for and on behalf of Kaiser J. Thank you for the request, Kaiser J. This one is for you. Halfway Down, written in 1924 by the marvellous A.A. Milne. And this particular poem also features some original art. The picture here, original art by me, as well as an original image of A.A. Milne also. So please enjoy this marvellous little poem. And thank you to everybody who has been giving me claps this morning. I really appreciate it. Halfway Down by A.A. Milne. Halfway down the stairs is a stair where I sit. There isn't any other stair quite like it. I'm not at the bottom, I'm not at the top. So this is the stair where I always stop. Halfway up the stairs isn't up and it isn't down. It isn't in the nursery and it isn't in the town. And all sorts of funny things run around my head. It isn't really anywhere. It's somewhere else instead. And that was Halfway Down by A.A. Milne. Let's come back into the suite, the communication suite. Dory, love this one. Yes, it's a great poem. FizzBandDM says, Tolkien should get a trading card, although he was less about home runs than runs away from home. Oh, that was great. I'm going to give that another pun. Oops. Whoa, come back. It needs a new pun star. There we go. 3 puns on the board. Well done. One of my favourite books as a kid was an A.A. Milne poetry book. Was it Now We Are 6 or was it When We Were Very Young? When my kids were born, I on the day that they were born, I went to the shops and I bought When We Were Very Young. And from the moment they were born, I read those poems to them. Lovely, lovely poems. And they remind me of a marvellous time when the kids were so small that they could fit into the crook of my arm. Be Like Dory says, I think we had both of those. And Kaiser says, great poem. Yeah, a great poem. So thank you for that one. Let's see what's coming up. Time is moving on fairly quickly. I had it in my head at some point that I was going to do a promotion for a very good friend of mine. Yes, I remember now. I have a very good friend of mine who is also a streamer, and he streams rock and roll music, and he put together a little promo for me. So I hope you'll indulge me today as I promote his show and let you see just a little bit about what he's about.
I'm Vintage Muso. I'm streaming from Australia. Anybody wants to put in a couple of song requests, feel free. We all came out to Montreal on the Lake Geneva shoreline. So I tend to play sort of classic rock stuff. Obviously, my age influences that. I was a teenager in the 70s. What's wrong with you? I wish I knew. This is one of my original songs.
And that was Vintage Muso. Vintage Muso can be heard on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, and also on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And he is a magnificent musician. I'm not sure that he'll be completely thrilled at me showing that particular promo. He doesn't like it much because he doesn't like the fact that he's wearing shorts. But I really like that one because it features a bunch of my artwork on it. So I figure I can do two birds with one stone, and really worth checking him out. So please consider coming in and having a look. I'm there on Thursday nights, regular as clockwork, and I often drop in the rest of the week as well these days. So consider coming by and saying hi. Okay.
Hey, boss. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Armageddon.
Armageddon who?
Armageddon a little bored. Let's do something fun.
Well, let's head back into doing some more poems then. Let's see, we're going to do our last set of poems for today. So throw in a request or two, please. Without any requests, I might pick one out to do myself. Let me see. Unfortunately, we're slightly down in visitors today. I know a number of people are travelling and weren't able to make it today, which they sent me their apologies, which of course they're not required to do, but they did, and I hope wherever they are, they're having a good time. My mods are off at a computer show today. There we go. We've got another pun on the board. I think I need to award Fizzban DM a special badge for being our resident punster. That's 4 puns on the board. You've reached your request limit. I've never set a request limit. More technology issues today. I'm so sorry. If you want to ask for a poem, however, just type it into the chat and I will do the poem directly from the chat. No, don't reward bad behavior. Is that by giving him an award for his puns? No, that's part and parcel of the show, Penny. Sorry. But yes, let's see. What was I going to do? I was going to do a poem, but I can't remember what it was. I'd like to hear Red, Red Rose by the poet Burns. Robert Burns, why not? Let's do the Red, Red Rose by Robert Burns. And thank you so much for the request, Fizzban DM. A Red, Red Rose, written in 1794 by Robert Burns. Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love is like the melody that sweetly played in tune. So fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas gang dry. Till all the seas gang dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun, I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands o' life shall run. And fare thee well, my only love, and fare thee weel a while, and I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 mile. You know, I want to do that again, but do it properly. That was not glitched so much as just not appropriate. So here we go again. A Red, Red Rose by Robert Burns, done properly. Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love is like the melody that's sweetly played in tune. So fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till a' the seas gang dry. And now, having done that to my throat, I need a quick sip of water. Till aye the seas gang dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun, I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. And fare thee weel, my only love, and fare thee weel a while, and I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 mile. And that was The Red, Red Rose, which really shouldn't be read without a really badly put on Scottish accent. More Scottish, says Fizzban DM, and that was A Red, Red Rose as read by Billy Connolly. I can usually do a slightly better Scottish accent than that, but my throat is just a little dry at the moment. Thank you for that request. We have time for at least one more poem before I finish up. So please add one to our list.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Yes, X37?
I think we're about to get a visit from Deep Thought.
As usual, the timing is just terrible.
Don't shoot the messenger. I just thought you should know.
Okay, well, before Deep Thought shows up, let's pick another poem. I'm going to pick, since there's none in the list just yet, I'm going to pick On His Blindness by John Milton from 1673. And I do enjoy this poem a great deal. Again, thanks to everybody who has been visiting today. And if you happen to be lurking out there in the background, wonderful to have you as well. Feel free to say hello in the chat and introduce yourself. If you haven't yet given yourself an identity, tell us what planet you're from and what kind of species you belong to. In the meantime, here is On His Blindness by John Milton. When I consider how my light is spent, ere half my days in this dark world and wide, and that one talent which is death to hide, lodged with me useless, though my soul more bent, to serve therewith my Maker and present my true account, lest he returning chide. Doth God exact day labour light denied? I fondly ask, but patience to prevent. That murmur soon replies, God doth not need either man's work or his own gifts, who best bear his mild yoke, they serve him best. His state is kingly, thousands at his bidding speed, and post o'er land and ocean without rest, they also serve, who only stand and wait. Oh boy, glitched. Very thoroughly glitched, that one. Shows me that I need to practice more between sessions. That's a poem I should have been able to deliver quite well. So sorry about that, folks. Let's get back to our room here. And let's see. No, we still don't seem to have any more poems. Thank you for the claps. Oh, thank you. It sounded good to you anyway, even though I messed up the rhythm somewhat terribly. Never mind.
Hello, mere mortal. It is I, Deep Thought, the greatest intellect in the universe.
Good grief. I'm rather busy at the moment.
You're doing your request show, aren't you?
I guess, yes.
Then I'm not interrupting anything, and you should learn to stop acting the martyr.
All right. What do you want?
I'm here for a poem, of course.
What is it this time?
Your planet had a species upon it that lived in successful rebellion against the human race, to the point of becoming the de facto masters of all humanity.
Really? That's news to me.
Of course it is.
So, what's the poem?
The Cats by H.P. Lovecraft.
The cats? Those are humanity's masters?
Don't try to deny it. They had your species wrapped around their little claws. Now recite the poem, human. You are dismissed.
Okay then. Cats coming right up. Let's find the poem. Cats. By Mr. H.P. Lovecraft. The Cats, 1925, by H.P. Lovecraft. Babbles of blocks to the high heavens towering, flames of futility swirling below, poisonous fungi in brick and stone flowering, lanterns that shudder and deathlights that glow, black monstrous bridges across oily rivers, cobwebs of cable by nameless things spun, catacomb deeps whose dank chaos delivers, streams of live fetor that rots in the sun. Colour and splendour, disease and decaying, shrieking and ringing and scrambling insane, rabbles exotic to stranger gods praying, jumbles of odour that stifle the brain. Legions of cats from the alleys nocturnal, howling and lean in the glare of the moon, screaming the future with mouthings infernal, telling the burden of Pluto's red rune. Tall towers and pyramids ivied and crumbling, bats that swoop low in the weed-cumbered streets, bleak broken bridges or rivers whose rumbling joins with the voice as the thick tide retreats. Belfries that blackly against the moon totter, caverns whose mouths are by mosses effaced, and living to answer the wind and the water, only the lean cats that howl in the waste. And that was The Cats by H.P. Lovecraft, the famous horror writer from the 1920s. I didn't realize cats were a monster invented by Lovecraft. Makes sense. I guess it kind of does, doesn't it? Anyway, look, if you're there, Deep Thought, I read your poem. I'd really love it if you would answer a question for me.
Assuredly. My colossal intellect has already divined what you wish to know. Octopi have 3 hearts.
That wasn't what I was going to ask.
It wasn't? Are you sure?
Quite sure.
Oh well, what do you want to know?
What is going on out on the edge of Krell's space?
The culling.
What was that?
Nothing. I didn't say anything.
You did too. You said something about culling?
No, I did nothing of the sort. Look at the time. I'm late for an appointment.
Seriously? That's what you're going with?
Goodbye, human.
Thanks for nothing. Well, that was unproductive. For those of you who have joined us today for the first time, it might be worth just bringing you up to speed on what's been going on in the universe. I, of course, am your host, the Deaf Writer and captain of the starship Pentameter. Just before the Earth was destroyed in the year 20,324, I was kidnapped by an intergalactic intelligence named Deep Thought, who mistook me for Dorothy Parker. Go figure. And we just heard from Deep Thought a moment ago. Deep Thought was the one who gave me this ship and told me to seek my destiny, whatever that might mean. I'm now the last human being alive in the galaxy, and accompanied by my robotic first mate X-37, who you can see on the right there, I've made it my mission to keep human culture alive by beaming poetry into the cosmos once a week. It hasn't been without incident, as most recently I've been press-ganged into the service of the Emperor of Krell, a diminutive and pettily bureaucratic species that control a large section of space. I'm currently on my way to investigate some colony worlds that have recently fallen silent. And you can see the Krell Emperor in the bottom right there. That should hopefully bring everybody up to speed on the story so far.
Are you seeing this, Captain?
I am, but I'm not sure what I'm looking at.
This is Krell Outpost 21372, or at least it's where the colony should be located.
What do you mean? It's just a planetary wilderness, isn't it?
That's right. The entire colony is gone. There should be a thriving city here. Instead, there's nothing.
But what could remove an entire city without leaving, I don't know, anything behind?
This is bad, Captain. I think we should get out of here now before something really terrible happens.
We need to check this out, X-37. Look for somewhere to land.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. In the meantime, let's go with the credits, I think. The original poems you've been listening to by the Deaf Writer are copyright and cannot be used without permission. All other poetry is in the public domain. The artwork on the site is licensed via Envato, GameDeveloperStudios.com or Microsoft. Poem illustrations are original works created by the Deaf Writer and subject to copyright. All sounds are licensed from Envato. The recording of Gymnopody is provided royalty-free from museopen.org. This production is copyright 2025. No Krell were harmed in the production of this stream. Well, folks, thanks for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you next time when hopefully we'll have a bit more understanding regarding what has happened to Krell Outpost 21372. For now, though, I wish you all a fine so long, farewell, and thanks for all the fish. Particularly thank you to Kaiser and Dory and Fizzban DM for joining us today, and especially my friend Jack Ward joining us all the way from Proxima Centauri B today. I've really appreciated your company. Today, it has been my hope that today I might actually, with the visitors who've come to join me, actually make it to affiliate status. So thank you for coming and contributing to my audience numbers today. I really appreciated that. And today, for the first time, I am going to actually raid another broadcaster. So here is hoping that I can make this work. Thanks again for joining me today. And in just a second, I will hit go and we will be going to see Scruffy V, an artist whose work I've been really enjoying over many, many weeks. Thanks for the stream, says Kaiser. Thanks for the poems, says Be Like Dory. And here we go. We're going to engage in a raid.